Hello peeps, it's Natasha coming at you with another video. So today I wanted to talk to you about our journey to become parents and our struggle with infertility and our process of going through IVF and ICSI. I'm not going to get into super details about our actual procedure with IVF. I mean, I'll go over it, but I feel like this could get to be an extremely long video. But I wanted to talk about it because I feel like there's certain times where IVF or infertility gets a big spotlight. And then it kind of just, I don't want to say fades in the background, but it's something that I want to have as a comfortable, open for discussion kind of topic with me. And I want it to be a discussion that is had all the time, that it's not just something that gets talked about during the awareness month or because the Ontario government is now going to be funding IVF treatments. I want it to be something that's discussed, and I want it to become I want it to get to a point where people are comfortable talking about infertility and IVF, and I want it to get to a point where people don't have to feel ashamed or guilty or to be blamed, or I mean, it's a medical condition, and people talk about their diabetes, people talk about their heart conditions, people talk about a lot of different health concerns and health issues, and that's exactly what infertility is. So let's get right to it. And I don't know, so Ryan and I have been married now for what feels like forever. It was 9 years in August, and we pretty much started trying, I won't even say before, like we weren't actively trying, but we weren't not trying. And it got to a point where somewhere inside, after years and years, I knew something was going on. I kind of talked to my doctor briefly about it. We started doing temperature charting, where you take your temperature every morning before you get out of bed. So before you have any movement, you take your temperature and you chart it. So all that seemed to be normal for me. I did, normal. We did, so I think that's basil. It's not basil. It's not an herb. Basil? Base. We checked my temperature. I think that's to make sure you're ovulating correctly. My cycle is very regular. It's pretty bang on. And so that never seemed to be an issue. So we did a lot of things. We tried different diets, different natural approaches. We tried maca root. We tried, I went through periods of time where I would stop drinking altogether. I went on big diets. No caffeine, no drinking. It was a very up and down roller coaster time for us. It took a long time for me to get to a point where I could talk about it without getting angry or without breaking down into tears, because I just felt like, I don't know, maybe I did something wrong, or maybe I deserved the struggles we were going through, or I felt guilty. When my husband proposed to me, he told me he knew he wanted to marry me when he saw our children and my smile. So I don't know, there was a part of me that felt like if I couldn't have children, I was kind of cheating him out of that. So, okay, I said I wasn't gonna cry. So even though I knew he never blamed me or would blame me, I kind of had that feeling of guilt. I know that's pretty common with a lot of people. You automatically jump to believing it's yourself. There's a lot of blame. Fertility or infertility can be really hard on a couple. And that was one of the things that my doctor had told me when we were starting to talk about fertility treatments and what the next step would be. After we kind of did everything within our power, vitamins, minerals, supplements. So, you know, like ultrasounds and, what was that test? They take like blue dye and they like bunch pressure and they kind of like blow out your tubes, your fallopian tubes. So like just a ton of like invasive, non-invasive tests. Just, you know, you get to the point where you feel like you've seen so many doctors and you poked and prodded so many times. And that was before I got to the fertility clinic, so. My doctor had said, you know, you guys are kind of like have done everything you can do before going to a fertility clinic. And we were trying to avoid it as much as possible because fertility treatments are insanely expensive. And we knew we didn't have the money. And I think a part of me knew that we were going to have to go there and it was going to be like kind of our option. But a part of me also knew that we'd never be able to afford fertility treatments, and that accepting that we had to go to a fertility specialist meant that I was accepting that we weren't going to have kids, kind of thing. So a lot of emotions, a lot of anger. So my doctor said, you know, maybe take like a beat, take a moment, make sure you and Ryan are both emotionally ready and you're both in a good place in your relationship, and that you both want this 100% because it could take a lot of other couples. And she just mentioned she'd seen it, you know, destroy other couples, and just all the added stress, the financial stress, the stress from the hormones, just everything. So we kind of took a step back. We did do a consultation with the fertility clinic. And again, more ultrasounds, more tests, more exams on both of our parts. So then it was discovered that what they had thought for me was that infertility is one of those things where it's kind of like, a lot of it's gray, you know, unless you have something that, like for me, it was very gray because a lot of my test results came back good. All my blood work, I had the right amount of follicles, you know, all that kind of stuff. So with me, it was determined that it was to do with scar tissue from several surgeries I had in my teens. I think around I was 17. I had my appendix removed. There was complications. I had 2 more surgeries after that and several stays in the hospital. Issues with adhesions after all the surgeries and reopening of the same area. So a lot of scar tissue kind of attaching itself places it shouldn't be, causing a lot of pain, discomfort. So after reading all my charts, they figured that that was what my issue was. At one point, they thought it might be an option to do an exploratory surgery, going in and taking a laser and trying to remove that scar tissue. But after further examining my charts from, they got a hold of my charts from when I was younger from the hospital that performed my surgeries, and they just determined that there'd be too much of a risk for my health to go in and do that surgery. I guess with that type of surgery, you go in blind, and they were worried that with how much scar tissue I had, that maybe like they would hit a bowel or they would hit something and it would cause more damage than they could fix. So they decided, my fertility specialist told me he wouldn't do the surgery, and cautioned me not to get it done by anybody. So and then we found out that Ryan has low motility with his sperm, meaning it just doesn't get to where it needs to be in time. Basically, everything else looked good, but that it wasn't getting to where it needed to be. So my scar tissue was kind of, your body naturally moves, right? So as it was described to me, and I'm not a doctor, this is just kind of like my story. So as it was described to me is that to help your egg get to where it needs to be, your body kind of naturally moves, so your fallopian tubes kind of naturally move and everything. It kind of like helps get the egg to like wiggle where it needs to go. And that my business was all kind of like frozen, kind of in place. Nothing was able to move. Everything was kind of like tied down. because of all the scar tissue and everything kind of being jumbled. So my egg wasn't getting to where it needed to be in time, and Ryan's sperm wasn't getting to where it needed to be in time, so they were never going to meet on their own. So my last consultation, when I went in to talk about the surgery, they told me that they couldn't do the surgery, and that they didn't want to suggest doing any other fertility treatments other than IVF because they thought our chance of success was just far too low. There are cheaper less expensive treatments where, you know, they can put the sperm into a certain spot, or hormones or that kind of thing. But they had felt that with both of our issues combined, our chances of getting pregnant on our own was about 1 in a million, and our chances of getting pregnant with any other kind of assistance was very low. That our largest chance, and that we were kind of perfect candidates for IVF, in particular ICSI. And the difference between regular IVF and ICSI is that regular IVF is where they take your eggs and your sperm and they kind of put them in the little, I was gonna say mason jar. It's not a mason jar, petri dish. They put them together and they kind of let like nature kind of take over, where the sperm and the egg kind of meet up. ICSI is where they take your strongest eggs, your strongest sperm, they put them together, so they actually kind of insert the strongest sperms directly into the eggs. So that's what we were told that we need to get done. So I believe IVF runs anywhere between, I want to say like 8 to 12,000, somewhere around that range, without drugs. I think that's, I could be a little off, but I believe that's around the number. And like where I was anyways. So after that, I mean, we knew we didn't have the money. My mom wanted to do like a fundraiser type thing, and I know people have done it. I don't think poorly of them. I would support people who do that. I just knew for myself, my personality type, that going through something like IVF would already be a ton of pressure with the money, and I think we had something like a 30% success rate. And I couldn't have other people paying for it for me, or I couldn't have like everybody kind of, at that point I just felt like if everybody chipped in and kind of paid for it, that they would also feel like, I know no one would have been like, I failed, or I just felt like there'd be an insane amount of pressure on me. And I already felt like I had enough going on with dealing with just swallowing this huge pill, and I knew there's no way my personality type, I could do it. So we kind of accepted it. That would have been like in the spring. Kind of had like an up and down summer. That summer where, finally led to, like, that's where I kind of talked about my stages of grief, like, being just denial and acceptance and anger and all those things. By the fall of that year, so that would have been 2011, we finally, or like end of summer, early fall, finally got to a place where I felt like I was okay with it. And then that's when we discovered that radio station contest in Ottawa, so the new Hot 89.9, was holding a contest called Win a Baby, and an insane amount of people thought they were actually giving away babies. No, people, that is not legal. So what it actually was, and that's what I thought too. I got a phone call from my mom and my sister one day, and they were like, "Natasha, you gotta turn on the radio. Like you're gonna win this contest. This contest is for you and Ryan. You're gonna win it. You need to go on New High 89's website, get the form, fill it out, enter right now." So yeah, my mom and my sister Ashley called and were like freaking out, and they're like, "You're gonna win a baby." And so my actual response was, "I don't think that's legal." But I listened to the contest, kind of everything. I looked at the rules, and I called my husband and I was like, "We're gonna win this contest. this contest was made for us. And it just was a really good timing for where we were emotionally, because I think had we been... You shush. You shush. You shush. Drink your bottle. You sussy fussy gussy. I think had I been anywhere else kind of in our journey, I wouldn't have been able to be as open and I think heartfelt and honest in my letter that I wrote to the station, nor would I have been as ready to kind of air out our whole history and kind of like air out our laundry, you know what I mean? Stop growling. What are you growling at? You're not a puppy, you're a baby. I wasn't sure that I was actually going to be ready. You know, I wouldn't have been able to air or kind of disclose all of our heartache and be very as open and kind of honest as we were. With not only Ottawa, but with, it ended up being the world. The contest went viral, I'd say, and I'll link the videos from the Win a Baby contest. Take 5 million. So the process for the contest was pretty insane. I know some people thought like it was like a draw name type deal. It wasn't. You had to fill in like a huge questionnaire about your relationship, like your relationship status, why you felt like you should win, your kind of story, your medical history, give the station written permission to access your medical information through the fertility clinic, to make sure that you were a good candidate for IVF. And like a story, like it was a pretty long process. And so then you kind of like sent it in, and then I think there was over 400 entries. And the whole thing was that it was supposed to end like I think on a Thursday. And I remember taking the day off and being like, and just having this feeling like that I knew I was gonna, like Ryan and I were gonna be one of the top 5 couples. So they're supposed to narrow it down to 5 couples, and they didn't realize they were gonna get so many applicants. So, so on the Thursday I stayed home and I was waiting for the phone call, because I just felt like we were gonna win. And when I didn't get the phone call, I kind of gave myself like a deadline, like they'd have to call me by a certain time during the day or else I wasn't getting a call. And when that time passed, like I was crushed, because I felt like how could I be so, that gut feeling I had, how could I be so wrong? So then I think on the Friday, Hottie 99 tweeted and announced that they hadn't selected any of the top 5 finalists. They taking the weekend to look over everything and announcing live Monday who the top 5 were. So I was like, oh my god, I still have a chance. I think we even did like a date night with my friends on the Thursday, and we all had a good drink, and my husband was like, oh, we never had a chance, we would never win, you know, we're just an average everyday couple. And my thing was, that's exactly why we're an average everyday couple. We were told we were perfect candidates for IVF, you know, a lot of different things, and why wouldn't we win? Like, you don't have to, because there was an insane, you know, people recovering from cancer, people who had horrific accidents, people born with different disorders, or, you know, women with endometriosis, a whole spectrum of fertility issues, as well as I believe there's some like same-sex couples and a couple other, like there was a whole range of people entering. So we had a good like drink it out with our friends, and then we heard the announcement and I was like, we're still gonna do it, we're gonna win. And then I had to go to a family party at my aunt's place, and I went with my sister-in-law, And I literally just pulled in to the driveway and I got a call, and it was an auto number, and I was like, and so I answered it, and I recognized her voice right away. It was Josie from Josie in the City, from the Morning Hot Tub on Hot 899. And I just started to like, I believe I gave her shit. I was like, you were supposed to call me on Thursday. And she was laughing, and she was like, I want to let you know you can't say anything yet, but you and your husband are top 5. And I was like, well, I'm sitting in the car with my sister-in-law, and I'm about to go into a huge house party, my entire family. And like, how do I manage this? So basically, my sister-in-law kind of played like buffer guard for me at the party and just like fed me wine in the corner. So I think people just thought like I was really upset about the whole situation and just left me alone. Meanwhile, I knew at that point that we had made top 5 and it was going nuts. So they called us all live on the Monday. And they did the announcement. They posted like tidbits of our stories online, and then it was opened for a week for voting from the public. And this is where it really blew up. Like, people from around the world were voting. People in Australia, people all over. It caused a lot of controversy. People on both sides of the like, people totally for, people totally against. A lot of really ignorant people who have absolutely no idea about infertility or IVF or the whole process. And honestly, in my opinion, no business commenting on it. If you know nothing about it. So there's a lot of drama. I kind of like picked and chose what I wanted to read, because there was a lot of really nasty comments and stuff. And then beyond that, there was amazing support, and from a lot of people. You know, we had an insane amount of people voting for us, and you could vote a lot. So like, these people were like taking their day off and nonstop voting for us. And the contest ended Thanksgiving weekend, that October 2011. It was my 30th birthday that weekend. So I remember having my birthday party and Thanksgiving at my parents' place. And it was still nice out that year, so we were all around the bonfire outside. Everyone had either an iPad or a phone in their hand, because I think it was like the last day to vote. And we're like all like just non-stop voting, and it was like the weirdest birthday party, because literally everybody was just like, vote faster, until midnight when it cut off. But like in men's support we got, I wrote a blog post titled Being Couple A. We were the A couple, you know, just explaining a bit more of our story, because they kind of selected little tidbits. Originally they were going to release your entire application, and then they just chose to release little parts. So and then all of a sudden, like, I was like, we're gonna win and I don't care and blah blah blah. And then you start bumping into, through social media and friends of friends and whatever, couple B is no longer couple B. You know, it's another couple, and they've been struggling for years as well. And, you know, all of a sudden couple C emerges, and couple D and couple E, you know, and all of a sudden you're putting faces to letters, and it's no longer, I'm gonna win this and I don't care. It's, oh my god, what if I do win? What about these other couples? And, or like, if I don't win, I'm gonna be crushed, but someone else who, I don't want to say deserves it, because I don't think that's the right word, but, you know, someone else who's been through a hell of a time, they're gonna get a chance to see their dreams come true. So once you started getting the faces and names, it became very, really real. The Monday was October 11th, 2011. We were all asked to meet at the station, and we were told that only one couple was going to be winning, but there was going to be crisis counselors on site for counseling and to help anybody who didn't win and who'd like to talk about their feelings after. So we get there, they start putting us, all the couples, together in this boardroom, and, you know, once you start seeing the faces and everybody's crying, and one of the girls, it was her 30th birthday that day, you know, and you're starting to put faces to the names, and you're actually getting names now, you're introducing each other, and, you know, looking across the room, there was, like, my heart was breaking, because there was no way I could feel good about winning over somebody else in that situation. So they brought us out in front of these huge news crews, and there was like paparazzi, and it was pretty insane. And they were airing it live on the radio, and every time I think about it, it was just, there were so many emotions. We were nervous, I was terrified, I didn't know how I was going to react, you know, and you're on camera, and so you kind of, like, we literally had I think it was national, like a camera right in our face, ready to get our reaction. Ryan did an interview right before, and they kind of had us all sitting in these little like love seats, and they're like, it was time to do the announcement. So Mahler, who was one of the Morning Hot Tub announcers, he's like, okay, so the winner is all of you. You all win up to 3 rounds of IVF. So the top 5 couples, we all got to win the fertility treatments. There was a group of us that all started fertility treatments around the same time. And what's amazing is that for the most part, we've all remained very close. Some of us, our babies have even, you know, been born around the same time, and have started to like grow up together. We try and get, you know, we stay in contact talking through Facebook, but we also try and get together, you know, go to each other's baby showers, birthday parties. You know, it's such an insane story, and yeah, so we kind of got this another group of people who get to go through the entire fertility process with.